IT person and father. The very first art form that I got into was music when I was 12 years old. Uh, I was asked to be in a band. A friend of mine had a band, and he's like, "Dude, you should come sing a couple notes with us, and we'll see what happens." And I went and I tried out for the band, and they loved how I sang, and I just sort of jumped right in. So from that point forward, I knew that playing music, would be an essential part of my life. It actually all started when I was 6 years old, and I was listening to Magical Mystery Tour, the Beatles record, and that album just blew me away. I ended up drawing I did something really dumb because it was actually the original pressing of the album. 6 years old, I don't know. I got all my crayons, I put my name on the record because it was, now my record, right? So, but I just vividly remember putting the needle down. They had those little record players that you would open up and play the music, and it was just such a great memory. Was that album? So every time I hear it, it brings back memories. I got into photography. Actually, my uncle was a photographer, or actually still is a photographer, and he's been shooting on the same sort of camera, K1000, Pentax K1000, for years since it came out. So his photography actually turned me on to being a photographer myself. I didn't really take it seriously until a couple years ago. I would shoot stuff. I wouldn't call myself a photographer by any stretch of the imagination. When my film sort of died down is when I sort of, the production had stopped, and we went into post. I started getting into photography, and from that point forward, I just was just trying to hone my craft, because I went to film school and I learned how to shoot video, and then from the video perspective, I got back into shooting photography, and then now film photography, and take another step back, and now Tintype photography. I decided to go to film school. But basically, there was a film school, Burlington College, and some friends of mine had actually gone to that film school, and it was either I go back to school and finish my degree in psychology, or I do filmmaking. And at that time, I said, you know what, I want to just die. I took one class, I believe. This is like a 20-year gap. Okay, this is like in 2007. I took a psychology course, and because I have my degree, I have my associates in psychology, so I wanted to go back and finish and get my BA. I took one class, and I saw the option of doing filmmaking, and I said, I think I'm going to do filmmaking and get my BA in filmmaking. So that's sort of the path I chose, and I actually only ended up going for a little over a year, and I got my film certificate there at Burlington College, and then I just jumped right on the film band called Death. Started filming that with my friend Mark Covino. Well, I had I had a job. I do IT work, and so I had that going along. I just wanted to go back and get my BA. So as far as my career path goes, having a BA is a little heftier than an associate's degree. So I just wanted to get a BA. It wasn't really essential. It was in psychology, but I figured, well, maybe I might step into doing some more of that. I was in this, maybe go the psychology route, because I did social service work for a number of years as well. So right out of college, the first time. So I figured, well, maybe go down that path. So my mom's actually a counselor, so I figured, well, maybe it'd be good for me to go that path, because I like talking to people. So I really like communicating with people, and I figured, well, you know, if she can do it, I can do it, you know. So a lot of art inspires me, a lot of music. I mean, I don't think there's a specific sort of media or format that it really inspires me per se. I'm inspired by all the photographers that are here in Charlotte, because I mean, everyone I've met, you guys, and you know, a lot of other folks, like, you know, they pick up cameras or talk, you know, keep talking on cameras. It's great, you know. There's not as many photographers in Vermont, which is where I moved from. I mean, there are, but they're in pockets, you know. It's like here there's more of a community feel, and groups and stuff like that you know, you can get plugged into right here in Charlotte, which is awesome, you know. Very supportive. As far as like inspiration goes, though, yeah, I mean, I get a lot of inspiration from music, rhythm of music. I might not know, I'm a lyrics, like I write songs and stuff, but like I don't get my cues from necessarily lyrics. I get them from the beat. So I always wrote songs when I was in bands by the beat and by the drummer, which is kind of, I don't know if it's backwards or not, but it's just how it works for me as a musician. And I think that comes from playing bass and drums a little bit too, so I think a lot of that comes from that. But I shot digital for a number of years. I picked up a digital camera, the 1 megapixel. I think I had an Olympus, you know, with the big, it's like a big floppy card now. Came out, and I just sort of went from shooting digital for a number of years, probably, you know, whenever that was, 10 or 12 years, to just in the last couple of years to shooting like I picked up a Howlett camera, and I decided, you know, to shoot my own film. I'd take it in and get the 120 film developed, and then doing that for a little while, I was like, you know, I think Scott or Troy or one of the guys at Big said, dude, why don't you just develop this by yourself? Like, why don't you just do it yourself? It's pretty easy, you know. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I just sort of, you know, I figured out how to do it, and you know, there's so much information online about how to do anything nowadays. I just you know, picked it up and started shooting my own film, developing my own film, and I just stuck with it. I love the look of film, and especially the black and white. It's a really good question. It's hard for me to answer that. I mean, I don't know. I feel that, like, I mean, my son and daughter are very talented artists. I can't draw a stick figure, to be honest with you. Music, yes, I can write music. I can write songs, no problem. Some people struggle. You know, I don't know. I think that, you know, inherently we're maybe born with some sort of talent, whatever it is, you know. And I feel that, you know, people can strive to do things and push themselves to limits that they wouldn't necessarily think to do, and I like to do that with everything I do, because I think it's important that you experience life to the fullest that you can in this life that we're in now. So. Well, if you think about it, a lot of other countries support art. They actually give grants, like very large grants, to support artists. And this country, it just seems that art, even at you know, like an elementary school level, has gone. The funding for that has just been cut in so many schools, and the days a week that they would have, you know, kids maybe have one day a week or every other week or something like that, that they actually can do art and have art class. I mean, it starts at that level, but it goes through like a professional level where it just, you really have to apply yourself. There are grants, and they're awesome. There's some great incentives in North and South Carolina, but it takes a lot of work. A lot of artists are making art. They're not necessarily thinking about the business side, and it's a struggle, and it takes time. Like I had to learn the hard way for my music, the business side of that, because you get one bad record deal, you learn, right? You grow from it. So the next deal that comes around to look at the numbers a little bit tighter, to make sure you're double checking with your lawyer about stuff, things like that. It's something that artists as a whole sometimes might look over, but because they're just striving to do art. So art, it's very I think important to look at all sides of it, because it's part of what you do. But it's good to have that knowledge of. And I wish that the United States gave more money for art, because and looked at other countries for that, for what they do for artists, so, and grants and special programs like that. So. I would just tell artists, if you're getting into art, just pursue it. Do what you want to do, and go for it. Don't talk about it. That's the big downfall about a lot of mediums, is that people will talk. I want to go to school. I want to do art class. I want to do music class. I want to do photography class. And they just talk about it. Oh, it looks great in a brochure. Well, go do it. Learn. Joe is a great photographer. Okay, learn from Joe. Can I apprentice under you? Ask people. There's so many tools out there. There's so much stuff online now that, anyone can just go online and go to YouTube and see every tutorial ever made, about any art form, So information is out there, if you want to do it, do it. Simple as that.